All right, welcome to my take on First Things First. This is Quarterback Mountain, the single most precise evaluation system in NFL history, and I don't say that lightly. Consistently recognized as the most accurate and impartial quarterback rankings anywhere on the planet. It's a pretty incredible reputation to have, and I'm genuinely thankful for it. But let me be clear, the mountain you're about to see today is a completely different beast. It's not some intricate, woven narrative considering a body of work. It is purely and ruthlessly about one question. What did you just do? What was your performance in your most recent game? That's the only criteria. That's the entire foundation. I have zero interest in what you accomplished a year ago or 3 years ago. I don't care about your stats from week 7, 8, or 9. This is exclusively about the past week. Nothing else. I'm also tweaking the approach slightly compared to some past iterations. I'm sticking with the same format I used last week because I found it much more effective. At its core, this is about the degree of impression your play left on me. It's not a simple exercise in compiling the gaudiest numbers. So you threw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns? Great. Fantastic. But what was the quality of that performance? Were those scores and yards handed to you on a silver platter, or were they hard-earned? Did you make exceptional throws under duress? What was the actual story of the game and the story of your individual execution? This isn't about who posted the highest passer rating, QBR, or completion percentage, or who blew out an inferior opponent. It's more nuanced than that. It goes deeper. Just because you dismantled a weak opponent and hung 40 points doesn't automatically grant you the summit. Conversely, a stat line of 180 yards and a single touchdown doesn't preclude you from reaching the top. That's what makes this engaging. That's the fun part. It strives for a more authentic evaluation. You can't just glance at the box score, you have to have actually watched the games. So, without any further preamble, let's dive right in. I have to warn you, constructing this mountain was particularly arduous this week. I found the last few weeks challenging, but this one was a genuine struggle. The quarterback I initially placed at the peak was moved down, then back up, then down again. Another signal caller briefly held the top spot but did something, which I'll explain when we get there, that forced me to reconsider. It's a tough process, but I believe it's a fair one. Let's start at the base. This area is always a tricky one to define, because being here isn't necessarily an indictment of a terrible game. It's not as if Dak Prescott or CJ Stroud had outright awful performances. Josh Allen, for instance, didn't need to do much in his game, and he actually played quite solidly. He tossed a touchdown and had 3 or 4 passes dropped, including another potential touchdown. But given the limited demand placed on him, and the fact that other quarterbacks just above him on the slope delivered more notably impressive outings, he finds himself here at the bottom. It's crucial to understand that not all quarterbacks in this tier are on equal footing currently. Take Baker Mayfield. You're missing your guy Liam Cohen, aren't you? It's okay to admit it. We all miss people. I get it. That whole MVP Baker narrative was fun while it lasted, especially when everyone was labeling me a hater, claiming I'd only make videos if he lost. But when he won, crickets. For the record, did I produce a post-game clip focusing on Baker and the Panthers after a loss? I did not. That's what a hater would do. So, my apologies, Baker. As for Bryce Young, yikes. Not a catastrophic game, but certainly not one that makes you sit up and say, this guy is definitively the future. There's still enough there to think, all right, let's keep giving this kid a shot, but he's not exactly setting the world on fire. This is especially true when you see other young quarterbacks like Tyler Show or even Malik Willis putting together legitimate performances. So, he stays rooted here for now. CJ Stroud and Dak Prescott, again, didn't do anything explicitly wrong. Stroud's Texans genuinely labored to put away the Raiders. Prescott and the Cowboys started strong, but then the offense stagnated, and now they're actively contributing to their own exclusion from the NFC playoff picture. I know I said this mountain ignores the past, but we do make a singular grand exception for the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, because this is an undeniable truth. The Dallas Cowboys could have theoretically won the Super Bowl in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. That's 9 consecutive years. 9. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are 9-time potential Super Bowl champions, featuring a 9-time potential MVP in Prescott. That's astounding. A 9-time hypothetical champion. Maybe I should have put him at the very top. I must be biased. What can I say? I'm just a hater and a troll. A hater and a troll. It has a ring to it. Then we have Bryce Young. He's been good. I'll admit, I still don't entirely know what to make of him because the Carolina Panthers as a whole remain somewhat confusing. But in fairness, I felt similarly perplexed about the Jacksonville Jaguars not long ago, and look at them now. What is their ceiling? It's hard to say. Bryce Young is a significant part of their current success, and he deserves substantial credit. Let's be real. This young man's career was hanging by a thread. Carolina could easily have moved on, and he might have found himself on the backup carousel, a Sam Darnold-type journey of getting another chance only after an injury elsewhere. But he's making a compelling case right now. He's building a resume. Bo Nix. Listen, I've said this in all my post-game and weekly analysis clips. I think Bo played well. I genuinely do. I believe he made some significant plays. The issue was a lack of support from the team around him in crucial moments. Untimely drops, for instance. The fumble and the interception? I'm not placing those entirely on his shoulders. The pick came on a fourth down attempt. You have to let it rip in that situation. The calculus is different on fourth down. Overall, he didn't play poorly, and he wasn't the primary reason for the loss. Jared Goff played exceptionally, actually. He was really sharp. His consistent ability to hit receivers in motion is something I continually highlight. He's extraordinarily gifted in that precise rhythmic timing. We always talk about rhythm and timing with quarterbacks, and Goff operates with metronomic precision on those throws. He presents the strongest argument for why yards after catch, EYAC, should sometimes be credited more to the quarterback than the coach. I typically attribute Yak more to scheme and play calling, and obviously to elite receivers. But Goff makes you reconsider. Do you see the throws he's making and the pinpoint timing? That's a major reason those receivers are gaining extra yards. He consistently challenges that conventional wisdom. Cam Ward is finding some success. Let's contextualize this. It came against a Kansas City Chiefs team that, let's be honest, most people are struggling to even name the quarterback of at this point. They are, by any objective measure, a non-playoff squad. I even skipped a segment on another show because they were feigning surprise at how bad the Chiefs were, trying to frame it as, see what Patrick Mahomes had to deal with? It's nonsense. I won't enable it. But for Cam Ward, facing the Tennessee Titans is no easy task. Let's call it what it is. He hasn't had it easy. The fact that he stayed afloat, kept the team competitive, and managed any semblance of a successful game is impressive. It speaks volumes for a quarterback in his situation. Looking at his numbers, a 75% completion rate, 21 of 28 for 228 yards, and a 122.3 passer rating. By pure grade, he'd be much higher, but I must factor in the quality of opposition. The Chiefs are a terrible team. That adjustment brings him here. Then there's Joe Burrow. This is where late-season evaluations get tough. Depending on the stakes of a game, a performance can be helped or hindered in my assessment. With so many contests now featuring non-playoff teams versus each other, the context shifts dramatically. If there were more teams still fiercely battling for postseason spots, I might have even left Burrow off the mountain this week. What does it all really mean? He obviously played brilliantly. 309 yards, a 78.1% completion rate, 9.7 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, and a 146.5 passer rating. Stellar numbers. But I always apply a deduction for feasting on bad opponents, unless there are extenuating, high-stakes circumstances. If this were a must-win game against a hot Dolphins team, and Burrow had to be great, it would carry more weight. But as a non-playoff team facing another non-playoff team, it's murky. The most impressive thing about Joe Burrow right now is that he's even playing. He could easily shut it down with a vague injury, embrace the tank for a better draft pick, but he's not. I respect that immensely. It's a shame he and the Bengals won't be in the playoffs, because he remains an elite special talent. Now Matthew Stafford. It's always a cause for panic with him. But let's be perfectly clear. Pro Football Focus had him ranked 9th this week, 9th in the entire NFL. So, having him here is actually higher than that. Just saying. I have to point that out for my Stafford faithful. He played incredibly well. 457 yards, 3 touchdowns. His completion percentage, 59.2%, wasn't ideal, and he had a couple of badly missed throws with significant consequences. Furthermore, A substantial portion of his yardage was set up by a potent running game and facing zero pressure for long stretches. In the second half, when the pressure finally arrived and the run game stalled, the offense produced 3 and out after 3 and out. He couldn't manufacture a play. His playmakers, Pukanakua and company, were the ones making spectacular individual efforts. So while the box score is awesome and he had a great game, the full picture places him here. Aaron Rodgers, however, has been incredibly impressive. This is my point. He is the one pulling every string in that offense. For Stafford and the Rams, it's Sean McVay's system. For the Jets, it's Rodgers. You can see it when you watch the game. It's likely why PFF actually ranked Rodgers ahead of Stafford this week. He made some big-time throws, the back shoulder fade to DK Metcalf before the alleged face-punching incident was a thing of beauty. The way he's running that offense, his quick release, it's all very impressive. Jalen Hurts played a flawless game. It was as perfect a performance as you could ask from him. He gets docked slightly because it came against the Washington Commanders. I love the play calling and the offensive execution from his perspective, using his legs intelligently to pick up key downs, playing smart and balanced football, never putting the ball in harm's way. A very high-quality game. Could have been ranked higher, but the opponent matters. The same principle applies to Justin Herbert. I originally had Herbert significantly higher, but as other games unfolded, I had to stay true to the process. I was insanely impressed with his game. 79.3% completion, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 10.3 yards per attempt, and a stellar passer rating. The little shuffle pass scramble touchdown was sublime. He was genuinely awesome, genuinely great. But this mountain is intended to be harsh, forcing difficult decisions. That's why Herbert lands here. He should, for the record, be at the top of many MVP ballots. The fact that he isn't a central part of that conversation is absolutely insane. Now we reach the contentious tier. Drake May, Brock Purdy, and, let's call him Josh for the dramatics, Sam Darnold. I already know some will panic. Yes, Darnold and Stafford played each other. Yes, Darnold threw a couple of interceptions. But here's the critical distinction. Darnold was not the beneficiary of wide-open receivers, endless spectacular catches from his targets, or a dominant run game setting up easy play action. He was making brutally difficult, high degree of difficulty throws all game. He had to convert those critical 2-point conversions. The touchdown throw to Jackson Smith and Jigba, the insane completion to Cooper Kupp to keep the final drive alive. These were exceptional plays that helped overcome turnovers and a defensive masterclass from the opposition. One of those interceptions was a pure tip of the cap to the defensive call. It blew me away. So, Sam Darnold earned this elevation. I could easily have put him on the same level as Stafford. But Brock Purdy and Drake May forced my hand. Brock Purdy was going to be at the very top. Initially, when organizing for Monday's games, I had other quarterbacks to the side and was predicting Purdy would play well. But he was so unbelievably good, I thought, this guy has to be the summit. It disrupted my entire structure. Then he threw that interception. In a tight race like this, that single mistake matters. It doesn't automatically disqualify you, as we see with Darnold's turnovers, but when you're vying for the absolute peak, it can be the difference. Purdy was awesome. 25 of 34, 295 yards, 5 touchdowns, a 126.8 rating. But that pick, in that context, is what happened. Sorry, Brock. Then you have Drake May. Listen, the man threw for 380 yards on a 70.5% completion rate. That's ludicrous. It's not like he's throwing to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins out there. A 70.5% completion rate on 44 pass attempts is wildly impressive. For context, Stafford threw for more yards, 457, on 49 attempts, but completed only 59.2%. May's accuracy is through the roof. And it's not coming from a clean pocket. He was pressured 22 times, among the most in the league that week. He had to scramble, use his legs, create. What he's doing is insanely impressive. The comeback win, down 2 scores late, was legendary. He should have had well over 400 yards, if not for a blatant pass interference no call. So, he's firmly in this elite tier for the week. Floating in his own special space, we have old man Phillip Rivers. This guy deserves so much credit. He put the Colts in a position to win. The defense was abysmal. Rivers had the one interception, which was a bummer, but his line was strong. 23 of 35, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 97 rating. Without the pick, it's over 100, and he's over 300 yards. Considering he was just thrown into this situation with everyone writing him off, to put up 27 points and operate the offense the way he did, changing plays at the line every snap, truly commanding the unit, is wildly impressive. He gets his own floating shout-out. Then we have Malik Willis and Caleb Williams. I originally had Willis above Williams, ESPN's rankings did too, but it's ultimately fitting they share this level. We cannot underpraise what Malik Willis did. Thrust into action as the backup to the $300 million man, Jordan Love, on the road against a scorching hot division rival in Chicago, in a cold primetime Saturday night game. And he delivers? He went 9 for 11 for 121 yards, 11 yards per attempt, a touchdown, a 142.8 passer rating, and added 44 rushing yards. He made big throw after big throw, big run after big run. He put his team in position to win. The loss wasn't on him, it was on the defense and a failed onside kick recovery. He outplayed Caleb Williams for most of that game. If not for that onside kick, Caleb's late heroics never happen, because virtually all of Williams' production came on those final 2 drives. But the door was opened, and Caleb Williams walked through it. He made huge plays, huge throws, and epic scrambles to keep the game alive. The throw against an all-out blitz to tie it, and then the game-winning touchdown pass in overtime. These are massive moments that show the immense trust play caller Ben Johnson has in him. It's fitting they are together here, but Willis's performance under those circumstances was exceptionally difficult and deserves its own highlight. And now, at the very summit, Trevor Lawrence. He took down the #1 team in the NFL, the Denver Broncos. He was flawless, genuinely flawless. A 64% completion rate, 279 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and he never once put the ball in jeopardy. Not once. He made big play after big play on the road against one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in the league on a major win streak. His Jaguars, they keep merging in my head, were rolling, and he played a perfect game. It was absolute perfection. Brock Purdy almost usurped him, but that interception made the decision clearer. Trevor Lawrence, for taking down the top team with a pristine performance, deserves to stand alone at the peak of the mountain for the first time in this feature's history. So, shout out to Trevor. Good job. That concludes this week's mountain. It's getting genuinely difficult right now because of the varying incentives, the mix of good and bad opponents, and the shifting stakes of late-season games. The Joe Burrow situation highlights this perfectly. Even Cam Ward, a rookie with little support who plays well, gets dinged because it's against a Chiefs team that seems to have checked out. The next few weeks will be brutal. I'm tempted to only evaluate teams that are undeniably 100% playing for something concrete. This is always the challenge with the mountain format. A player like Matthew Stafford was in a harder, more intense game that demanded more from him than, say, Jalen Hurts' game did. By that logic, Stafford should arguably be above Hurts or Herbert. But when you weigh what Drake May did to will his team back, what Brock Purdy did, near flawless dominance, what Sam Darnold did with game-winning drives, what Malik Willis did off the bench, what Caleb Williams did in overtime, and what Trevor Lawrence did in a flawless upset, well, that's the harshness of the mountain. It's winter up here. It's not always soft snow. Sometimes it's sheer ice, and sometimes you fall. Sometimes you get scraped up. Patrick Mahomes isn't even on the mountain right now. Sometimes you tear your ACL. It's just how it goes. What do you do with a game like Jared Goff's? He played awesome. 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, a 101.2 rating, hardly any mistakes, and he did it while getting almost no rushing support, 15 team yards, and throwing 54 times. That's an impressive game. It really is. But it's just tricky. It's all very tricky to compare directly. So, those are my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about this week's quarterback mountain? I concede it's a messy one. It's hard out there right now. It's easier said than done, especially when you're judging strictly on a single week. It's actually harder this way. It's easier to rank when you consider the whole rich tapestry of a season. Then you know what Justin Herbert has done all year, what Jalen Hurts has built, what Bo Nix has shown. Comparing Trevor Lawrence's flawless upset to Jared Goff's prolific loss, or debating whose opponent or defense was better. It gets messy, just messy. But let me know what you think. I read every single comment, whether you agree or disagree. Let's get some discussions going, maybe even some friendly fights. But ultimately, let's have fun with it. Please consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd love for you to be part of it. I want to build something we all feel connected to and excited about. I think we're well on our way. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.